your Divas division.
Look whose show you're on, sweetie.
I did it, you bitch.
I think every single diva should be lining up and congratulating me and thanking for everything I've done for them.
You're going to find out why I am the boss.
Kamusta mga kontrabida? Welcome to Turning Heel with Troy Gonzalez. I'm your host, yours truly, and we're back with another episode of Who's That Girl? My interview series where I sit down and chat with women in wrestling from all around the world, both inside and outside of the ring. And before we do start, I want to say a happy new year to everyone. This is my first episode of 2023, so I hope you guys have had some great celebrations and I'm hoping for lots more content to come this year. And we're going to start that off with an interview with a very, very special guest. You guys, she has tons of wrestling experience. She's wrestled in some of the most international, most major wrestling companies in the world with appearances in WWE, Impact, AEW, so on and so forth. But currently, we know her best as her alter ego in WoW Superheroes as Chantilly Shella. Ladies and gentlemen, kontrabidas, handa na ba kayo? Who's that girl? It's Ray Lynn. Hi, Ray. How are you?
Hi. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. How have your New Year celebrations been going? How's the year so far for you?
It's been good. I've been getting in like a ton of workouts. I'm a little bit slow with wrestling this month. I only had, I think, 3 shows, and I'm totally fine with that. It's kind of nice to give my body a little time to recover. Last year was
Right.
pretty wild. Like you said, we were filming WoW last summer, and I was so busy, but it was great. It was awesome.
Right. We love a busy woman working at 9 to 5 and
Yes.
wrestling, kicking ass on the sidelines. We love to see it. And I'm really excited to speak with you today. But I did mention this to you earlier before we did start that you are a very busy woman working your job. And you did mention that in other interviews that you are a professional barber. So I wanted to ask like what goes into training to become a professional barber? Because it can't be easy at all.
So I went to cosmetology school and I used to do everything like color cuts, but I didn't specialize in men's hair at all. When I started wrestling, it was hard to work in a salon because they wanted you to be there on Saturdays, and I just didn't have the availability to work the schedule they wanted me to work. So I became friends with this barber. He's like, "Hey, I can apprentice you. You can work at my shop. You can work as little or as much as you want to." And that was the nice thing, is because they didn't take appointments, that I could work Tuesday, Wednesday, and then be gone the rest of the week. So I learned over time. It's definitely like a time skill, working on hands experience. You learn in school, but I feel like you learn most of everything on the job, which is the same with wrestling. It translates a lot. Because as a barber, you need to build up your clientele. As a wrestler, you need
Right.
to build up your bookings. So it's a lot
Yeah.
about making personal connections and just getting better and better at your craft.
I see. So how long does it take to train as a professional barber?
School's 9 months. Um, each state is different, so you need so many hours. But here in Pennsylvania, I needed to go for about 9 months. I think it's 1,250 hours. I think.
All right. All in all, in total. I see. I
Yeah.
see. Really interesting stuff. So I do want to know, like, since you are a professional barber, and I personally want to experiment more with my hair. I hope you don't mind me making this into like a one-on-one appointment. But
Your
do you have any like
consultation.
suggestions for like hairstyles for men that you think I could try out? Because my hair, it doesn't really grow longer; it grows a bit thicker. So
So
I
it's kind of
usually
hard
go
to
for
see because the
undercut.
background on you is really dark, so I can't really see.
You want a side view?
Yeah, it does look really heavy. So I mean, it depends on what you're going for. I always think like it looks nicer when it's tighter. So like a nice
Right.
fade. Um, you have, it looks like you have a ton of hair, and your
A
hair is probably
lot.
super straight and it grows straight out, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say get your hair cuts pretty often, else it's gonna just continue to be that thickness. But I would probably do a nice tight fade on you.
All right. I'll take that into consideration because yeah, it doesn't really get long, it gets thicker, like the
It gets
volume
full,
just
yeah.
yeah. So usually when I go to the barber, I just go for an undercut because I like the sides to be like really faded.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's the right choice for you. Going nice and tight on the sides, keeping it long so you have something to play with.
All right. Thanks for that suggestion. Now let's talk more about some of your personal interests and hobbies. Now I saw on your social media, I believe it was Twitter, that you mentioned that you are an avid viewer of the TV show RuPaul's Drag Race. So
Oh
I
my god,
want to
RuPaul's Drag Race.
know, like, who are some of your favorite drag queens to step on the show?
So I started with season 3 and I fell in love with Sharon Needles. She's from Pittsburgh. She's so funny, and
Right.
I'm from Pittsburgh. So then obviously at the time I loved Alaska too. I still love Alaska. Amazing. Who are some of my favorites right now? Those were like when I first started with drag. It's actually kind of funny. When I started wrestling, I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, and I started going to this drag bar called, or well, it was just a gay bar in general. It was called Play. And I got to see the drag queens and kings perform because I also
Wow.
intertie like drag with wrestling. It's kind of the same thing. Like, as in they go they're like there's like going town to town performing,
Yeah.
and it's there's so many
Mhm.
aspects to their performance, like singing, dancing, comedy. Wrestling's very much the same. Like there's so many aspects that go into a performance, so I really respect drag.
All right, really interesting stuff. So have you actually gotten to meet Alaska and or Sharon throughout your
No, I haven't, and it's so sad to me. Maybe someday.
maybe because I believe they have a lot of drag cons in the US. I believe. How often is it?
They do. There's a lot of different I like my best friend got us tickets for my birthday to see Alaska and Tampa, and I ended up
Ooh.
being booked and not getting to go. So it was really sad. But
Oh.
I know she'll come back around, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, if you don't mind me asking, when's your birthday? Because I believe you're a Libra.
I
Am I
am
right?
October 14th.
I'm born. My birthday is on the 12th of October. So we're
Ah,
Libra
you're a Libra
babies.
too.
Yes, we're Libras as well. So what would you say is like the most Libra thing about you, if I may?
My indecisiveness.
Same here. Same here. Lord, because like when I go to like I don't know, restaurants or like cafes and I have to order something and it's like a store where I'm not familiar with and I have no idea what to order, I'll just say, just give me the specialty or like what are you guys known for? Just give me
Yeah.
that and I'll take. Yeah, it's a
It'll
struggle
just
of
really
being a
just take me
Libra.
too long to decide.
Right. Right,
And I
right.
feel like one of the things, I guess, Libras are always like standing up for things they believe in. And I would say that I'm very like that. Like I hate seeing anyone feel like I hate seeing people get bullied. Like I hate that. I'm always trying to
Right.
stand up for people when I can. I don't know, especially like social injustices and stuff like that. It's just it makes me sick. Like some of the things I see. And I think for a while I had to delete my Twitter for a while because it was making me so sad.
Really?
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
I just feel like energies really drain me sometimes.
True, true. Social media can be very like toxic at times. So like sometimes I really do take the time to not look at it from time to
Yeah.
time. But then if I do have the urge to like get that entertainment, like like a source of entertainment, sometimes I do come back, but like not too often 'cause it can be crazy.
It can.
Um, but now let's talk more about you in the independent scene because I've mentioned earlier in your introduction, like you have done so much stuff over the past few years. You've traveled across the globe. But one particular part of your career that I want to talk about was your time in Shimmer and your time in Rise because you've
Yeah.
wrestled so much female wrestlers there and you've learned so much from the top veterans in this industry. So how helpful and how important were Rise and Shimmer to you in helping you grow
My
into the
gosh.
wrestler that you are today?
That's such an awesome question because I talk about my level up moment. I was maybe 3 or so years in whenever Rise first came out, and I remember doing a match, and Mercedes Martinez telling me, "You have no fire. You need to do this." And I took it like I like when people are constructively criticized, right? Like I need to know what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it. So she told me that, and I went back and I worked really, really hard, and I just like seeing women like Lufisto and Mercedes Martinez and like Madison Rain. There's all these amazing women there to learn from. Gail Kim, Aja Kong, like all these people came and were training us. It's really hard not to realize like you just need to keep working. If you don't realize that, you should probably quit. Like you're there's always room for improvement in all aspects of life, right? So I just if I wouldn't have had Rise and Shimmer, I don't think I would be where I am right now. I don't think I would have realized that I needed to get better because when I started, there just weren't a lot of women in wrestling. and it wasn't like I started like right at the beginning of like the revolution, right?
Yeah.
So we were still the popcorn match when I started.
Right, right. I see, I see. And
Yeah.
as you said, there were so many veterans such as Mercedes Martinez, Madison Rain, Lufisto, who were involved in Shimmer and Rise. And so there were just so many like idols and inspirations to look up to, role models in the
So many
women's
people to
wrestling
learn
world.
from.
Right, right. And Shimmer in itself has provided probably one of the strongest foundations in international women's wrestling. So tell me a little bit about how important Shimmer, as well as Rise, has been, in your opinion, to the growth of women's wrestling throughout the
Oh my
years.
gosh. I mean, I feel like they were the original, they were bringing people in from all, like you said, internationally. So there are these women that are incredible in other countries that don't get a look at because, they're in other countries and this is kind of before YouTube, right?
Right.
So they're bringing them over and people are like, oh wow, they're amazing. Like like Madison Eagles from Australia, and then you had all these people coming in from the UK and Japan, and it's just so incredible to bring all these women together. I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just so,
Yeah.
I really hope that they do come back. I really do, because it was such a powerful movement for women's wrestling.
Right, right. Like the diversity of the types of women that they brought in and trained and showcased on such an amazing platform. It's totally amazing. And hopefully we get to see them. Yeah, speaking of women empowering each other, let's talk about you because you have a part in a tag team called the Blonde Force Trauma, and I believe you're one half of the current BCW Tag Team Champions alongside your partner Heather Monroe, and you're actually defending your titles really soon at Queen of the North 4. So I wanted to know, like, how are you guys preparing for this title defense?
So Heather and I are we like share a brain, I swear. Like we think the same things, and we met each other living in California, and we were just like, oh, who is she? Who is she? Oh, she's like just West Coast me and I'm East Coast her.
Okay.
Uh, we actually haven't got to work together in a couple months because the holidays and like filming and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see her and wrestle with her. I feel like we take time out. So say we have like a weekend off, like I'll either go to Chicago or she'll come to Pittsburgh and we train together and we film our silly videos that our promos and stuff like that. So we film all
Right.
that and we get to train together. So it's just like really working together and being on the same page.
Do you guys have any goals as a tag team for this year in 2023?
We do have a lot of goals. I hope we can reach them. We want to do something international. Um, Not sure that be the UK or going back to Japan. We'll see. We got some fillers out there. We'll see what happens. There's also, we would like to work for some of the more televised companies as well and work
Right.
with well established tag teams, because a lot of times it's just two females thrown together and they call it a tag team. We want to work
Yeah.
other established tag teams.
All right, all right. So I hope they better be careful because you guys are coming their way, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what 2023 has in store for you and Heather. But speaking of working internationally, you did mention earlier that you actually had the chance to wrestle in Japan, and I'm really happy that you brought that up because I wanted to know, like, what was the experience like wrestling in Japan? Because I'm pretty sure, like, the audience type, like Japanese wrestling audience, like Japanese wrestling fans, are very different from those in the States. So, what was that whole experience like?
It was really cool. I don't know what the biggest difference is. They're like very respectful. Where in the US they might yell, like if you mess up, they're gonna yell something ugly at you. Like
Yeah,
fancy, I'm like, you can't do this shit, right? Get
yeah,
out of here. Whereas like Japanese fans are very respectful. It's a little quieter, but like I think people think that it's always quiet. It's not though. Like whenever you're wrestling, they're watching, but there's still sound going on. It's not like dead silent. It's not crickets. But when the action starts happening, they cheer louder than anyone else. So it's like, yeah, there might be
right,
those moments of silence, whereas like here in the US, they might chant the whole time, but the chants aren't always good. Like I said, sometimes they're nasty and mean. So
right. Yeah, sometimes like they can get into the wrestler's head as well, like while performing. But yeah, it's really interesting to see because I've sort of personally gotten into like Joshi or like just Japanese wrestling in general
Mhm.
recently because of the whole Mercedes Moné thing. I love her so much, so I sort of opened myself to that whole culture of Japanese wrestling, and it was really a culture shock to see like when like a big move is hit and all you hear are like applauses and people are
Like you
just like,
said,
whoa,
they'll be like
right,
they'll you can hear people making noise throughout the whole thing, but like whenever something big happens, there's big reactions. And I just
yeah.
the Japanese women are so skilled. When I was over there, I was just shocked at how much we trained. I like probably 4 to 5 hours a day
Oh wow,
with two
that's a
training
lot.
sessions. There's a morning training session and a night training session, and they just work their asses off, and that's why they are so good at what they do.
Right, right. They're very hard workers. Speaking of your trip to Japan, were you able to visit some of the landmarks? Were you able to go to Disneyland? Was it Disneyland?
I went
Yeah,
to
I'm
Disney.
guessing you went to Disneyland. So how was that like?
Oh, it's so cool because everything was in Japanese and English. So it
Oh,
was really
okay.
neat. They had some things that we don't have. And like, I've been to California and the Florida one before. So it was a lot the same, but also really different. It was such a fun magic. Disney's so magical. It was so much fun. Like, one of my favorite days there.
Right. Hopefully, you do get to go there soon because I personally have not been to Japan yet. I've only been to Singapore, like Universal Studios and everything. But
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure Disneyland is like a whole different world. So hopefully, sooner or later, because I'm just in here in the Philippines. It's only a few hours away. I just got to get that visa
Gotta
check and
go. You gotta
we're good
go.
to go. Right. Right. But yeah, let's talk more about your work in the US, specifically something we have to celebrate because just last night we got to celebrate 30 years of Monday Night Raw. And you also posted this on your story that, fun fact, you were actually on Monday Night Raw once to perform in the ring against former Raw Women's Champion
It
Nia
was literally 6 years
Jax.
ago on the same day. So I guess I was there on the
Really?
24th anniversary. It wasn't
Oh,
just that it was the
wow.
anniversary, it was I actually performed on the anniversary.
So it was exactly like 6 years
Six
from
years ago
yesterday.
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I, I, I
That's really
only know because
interesting.
like obviously like Google Photos told me and it popped up on my
Oh,
Facebook. I'm
okay.
like, oh wow. I'm like, that was 6 years ago. So it was kind of funny. I can't believe it's been 6 years.
True. That's really, really interesting. It was exactly 6 years ago. But tell me about your whole like experience getting to wrestle on Monday Night Raw because it probably was a really big platform for you. How was it like?
Yeah. So that I would have been what, 3 or 4 years in at that time. I was just starting to get comfortable with myself as a wrestler. Um, I mean, it was in Cleveland, which is a place that I wrestled all the time. Like I was pretty regular there, so people knew who I was when I went out, and that was so cool. Like, there's people cheering for me. What? Like that's insane. Um,
Right.
yeah, it was really cool. I don't. I think that might have been the biggest audience I wrestled in front of. I've wrestled in front of some pretty big audiences, but I'm pretty sure that was the biggest. They're such a well-oiled machine. I just remember like standing in Gorilla, like, don't fuck it up, don't do it. Like you
Right.
got this.
You only get one shot at this.
Right.
Right.
I think I did good.
Yeah, you did good. You sold the hell out of Naya's moves. Speaking of Naya, I know that they're having like lots of controversies about like people saying that she's not much of a safe worker or that she injures people. I wanted to know your thoughts as someone who's personally been able to work with Naya. Do you have any bad experiences with her, or do you think everything was done professionally?
In my match, everything was done professionally. I can't speak for other matches because I wasn't in them, but I know I was fine and I came out the same way I went in, and that's all you can ask for.
Right, right. And speaking of getting out of that match, how did you feel after that match? Because it must have been a crazy, crazy wild ride.
Oh, it's awesome. Your Twitter blows up. Like you get a ton of followers. Um, I was with Britt Baker. We were both backstage that day. And she
Oh.
had done she's from Pittsburgh too. So she had done the squash maybe a couple months before that. And she was like, hey, pin your pro wrestling tees to the top of your Twitter. Trust me.
All right, we love a
She was
supporter fan.
not
I didn't
wrong.
I didn't know Britt was with you backstage then. That was really
So
interesting.
when she did her squash with Naya, I was backstage, and when I did mine, we traveled a lot together in the first couple years.
Oh, Interesting, interesting. Well, we love Britt Baker on here. Definitely one of the top stars of AEW. Really, really proud of her. Now
Absolutely.
let's sort of transition this conversation into your work on WoW superheroes because that's what we're mainly know. That's what we mainly know you about.
Yeah.
So obviously, Chantilly Chella is a whole different persona, but at the same time, she also has some similarities with Ray Lynn. So how would you say Ray differentiates herself from Chantilly Chella?
I would say Ray is a lot sassier than Chantilly, but I can see it. Like I'm watching episodes now and I see that sassiness coming out. It's just who I am. I can't put it away. It doesn't matter if
Right.
it's like, yeah, because I'm like, I am like that, but at the same time, like I am a Libra with a Leo moon. So I'm fiery.
Okay.
Like
I see, I see.
I'm not I would say I'm probably one of the most unbalanced of the Libras. I get a little hot headed, so I can see that coming out sometimes. I feel like more and more, especially as we go into the new season, I feel like Chantilly, Chella, and Ray are kind of the exact same now, except for different costumes and different hair.
Right, right. And Chantilly Shella is, I feel like, one of the top favorites, top baby faces on WoW Superheroes. Like every time you come out, the fans just cheer for you and they love your whole thing. And speaking of people loving your thing, recently you posted a clip rather of a tag team match you had on WoW Superheroes, and you got a pretty big compliment from the executive producer slash commentator AJ Mendez, saying that you are probably the most athletic female wrestler on WoW, or one of the most athletic females on WoW. You've shared online that this was a very big compliment for you. So, well, how is it like having AJ be an executive producer and having a voice backstage for you girls?
So when I met her, it was really cool. I went up, I was like, "Hi, she's like Chantilly Chella," and I'm like, "Oh, she knows me." Oh,
An honor.
and that's exactly what she said to me. She's like, "I've been watching your stuff. You're so athletic," and I was just like, "Okay, I'm gonna keep doing
Wow.
that." But it is really cool to have someone like her backstage. I know I've had like questions before, and when we're getting her hair and makeup done, I'll like chat her ear off. She's been really, because I know there are girls that are trying to transition to the second whenever you're done wrestling. There are girls that are trying to transition, and AJ's there to be like, "Hey, this is what I did. This is what made my transition easier." And she's great. Like it's really awesome to have someone that's done so much.
Right, right. And she has a very like unique perspective, obviously working in a very difficult time for women's wrestling where they didn't have enough time to showcase their stuff, and now I feel like she wants to just help promote women's wrestling. And I'm really happy she's doing it with WoW because WoW has so much potential to grow even more in the coming years. So
Oh, I really 100% believe in this company. Else I wouldn't have been here as long as I have been. I think it's a really cool concept. I think our production is like top tier. Like our show looks
right.
good. Even the girls they bring in that are non-wrestlers, like they have so much passion for it. It's really cool watching them grow from week to week. You have to remember in week 1, that was their first matches ever on television.
All right.
So I as these shows come out, you'll see like they're getting better and better and better every single time, and it's so just amazing to watch people grow, especially when you see them whenever they're like day 1 to day like I don't know 365 because we didn't film that many 56.
All right, all right. And yeah, it's really, really interesting and amazing to see women just grow in WoW, like both in the ring and mentally. And speaking of, I believe WoW Superheroes is currently looking for female wrestlers interested to apply as WoW Superheroes. And I wanted to ask you, since you have experience working in WoW, do you have any advice for aspiring female wrestlers who would like to be a superhero on WoW themselves?
Yeah, I have a lot of girls reach out to me like a ton. Every single day I'm getting messages about it. One of the biggest things about WoW is we're very character driven. So have a big character, have a big personality, have a look. It's really important to stand out. I'm not going to use her name, but I have a friend, for example, she speaks 4 different languages. I was like, you need to
Oh, wow.
include that on your resume because you just need to look for things that make you stand out. What is your special talent? What could be your character? So wrestling is important, but they can teach you how to wrestle.
Yeah.
Character and charisma, that's things that they can't teach. So you have to already have that. You need to at least have an idea. Like I do love music, but going to Coachella isn't something I've ever been able to do. I've been wrestling. I didn't have money for that, you know? So
Right.
you have to decide, how am I going to make this character me?
True, true.
Yeah.
All right. So more focus on the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, as we would say on Drag Race. We need that charisma.
Yes. Yes,
So so yeah, hopefully we do get to see more up and coming faces on WoW Superheroes, because once again we really want to see this company grow. Just the whole vibe, the aura, the representation that that company has, off the charts. It's the new year, it's 2023. What are some of your goals for your wrestling career this year?
Well, we're getting back to WoW. I'd like to be in the title picture. I've been around for a long time and I feel like I've just been around. I think it's time
Right.
to highlight me. I think it's time for me to shine.
For sure, for sure. And we can't wait to see you shine, because you have lots of stuff going on. We've already known that you have plenty of experience in the past wrestling. So we have no doubt that you were going to shine this
Thank
year.
you.
Really, really excited. And once again, it was lovely speaking with you. It
Nice
was
speaking
great
with you
getting to meet you. I hope you enjoy your time here on the show.
Oh, thank you. I had so much fun.
All right. But before I do let you off, I'd like to ask you: do you want to promote like your social medias and any other appearances or bookings you want to have in the coming weeks?
So you can follow me on Instagram. It's what I use the most, Raystar5, RAYSTAR5. I have Twitter, don't use it much. And that's at Ray_LYN. Yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like Twitter. I tweet,
Yeah.
if I do tweet, it's going to be something positive. And if you tweet something nasty back, I'm not going to pay attention. I'll probably block you. Positive vibes only. 2023, positive vibes only.
Right, right. Let's just spread love, happiness, anything positive, because the world's been through a lot this past
Yeah,
few
no
years.
more ugly guys. Come on.
True. Just all love. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you.
the show, Ray. It was lovely meeting you. And for all of you contribudas, you guys know the drill. Be sure to check out the show wherever you can listen to it by checking out the link tree. That's linktr.ee/turningheelpod. And you can also check out the Twitter account at Turning Heel Pod. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Stay safe, everyone. Bye bye.